She's back and she's a mother, 15 months postpartum. The brain fog is lifting. The iron pills are working. I am just figuring out the depths of my birth trauma. I was vegan for 7 years, leading up to about a year and a half before getting pregnant. When I look back at my numbers, my iron literally plummets, barely rebuilds, get like right there at baseline 10.9, which the safe zones is 11.1 to about 15.5, especially when you're giving birth. I lost so much blood during labor and delivery that I was zero point 0.4 away from a blood transfusion. After moving, establishing care with a new primary care doctor, I am now realizing how important iron is to life, not even just your postpartum recovery journey. From the moment I stopped breastfeeding to really upping my supplementations, the last 13 months was a blur. These last 2 months have been great. From my birthday on, life has been brighter. For those of you who are new here, my name is Janae Carly. My goal is to speak and write about the faith and the discipline that it takes to keep going. The tension won't break you. Show up anyways. This is me finding my creative edge again. You can follow me on YouTube, Substack, Instagram, TikTok, sharing faith, fitness, motherhood, life in between. I'm learning in the stillness of having to go back to the basics, especially in the areas of fitness where my body has not been recovering the way that it needs to with lifting weights. And I have picked up these patterns of bracing and holding my breath. I started this new program for the pelvic floor that starts with 360 breathing and making sure that you are engaging your core. The pain I have been dealing with even before pregnancy is disappearing. This is a moment where God is sending me back to the basics to see where I've been bracing, where I've been holding on to ideas that don't align with who He says I am or what He needs in this moment, especially if a woman's tone, language, words, shapes, atmospheres, especially the home. The Lord is getting this under control, okay? And we're going back to the basics of me learning that I lost my creative edge and how do we find that on this side of motherhood, which is reawakening it because I have time to really sit with myself to see how distant I felt from God, how disassociated I've been, how blurry and foggy motherhood can be, especially when you're dealing with extreme blood loss. Motherhood is so much easier than marriage because my daughter is an extension of me. She didn't ask to be here. Her daddy and I decided to partner with the Lord to bring her here on this earth. Marriage is a decision between two people deciding each other daily. Every day I wake up and have to choose my husband and vice versa. We are about to celebrate 3 years with a toddler who is very much running the show. It's her world. We just live in it. And I'm learning how to parent her based off of how she is to be raised, raise up a child in the way that they shall go so they don't depart from the faith. I have to raise my daughter based off of how God wants me to raise her by way of her personality. And my baby is very strong-willed. She eats what she wants, goes to sleep when she wants, how she wants. And I get it, I'm the mom. She's not my friend. You have to establish that early. But it's been fun learning her little personality. And it has been a joy, a journey to get to this place. And my husband and I are doing great. We're just now turning a corner as we approach 3 years in a month. I had a friend ask me recently, did I grieve my freedom at the beginning of motherhood? I grieved my freedom in marriage way before I became a mother. The grieving started in the courtship process that when I became a mom, this was a breeze because I had already died to myself, my idea, and often finding myself at this crossroad between who I think I am and who God is calling me to be, realizing that pregnancy doesn't prepare you. Nothing prepares you to walk this out. Wisdom is a far greater teacher than experience. When you don't have the experience what wisdom has already walked through, wisdom can only carry you so far, where experience has to come in to develop your character, to help you become more like Christ. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I've been reading my Bible and I've been really disciplined. There have been hard days. when even worship music triggers me. And it is by God's grace and my husband who has kept me in church during this season, not backsliding, just sitting in the discomfort, having to apply my faith from this place. And I remember a few months back, I was sitting at home having this moment, and the Lord revealed to me that sometimes silence doesn't mean we're distant. It's in the silence that He's growing our maturity to see if we will still rest and seek and invite Him into the discomfort. That God is not intimidated by middle moments. If He's both Alpha and Omega, what happens here in the middle doesn't catch Him by surprise, even though it catches us by surprise, because we're having to walk it out in real time. But God is outside of time. It has been very humbling to go back to the basics, to be honest with myself, to feel as if I'm not where I think I should be, but understanding that I'm exactly where God needs me to be, and finding gratitude in the realization that what an honor it is to be home with my daughter, what an honor it is to be back close to family, and that if you can trust God when He says to go with the big thing, can you trust God when He tells you it's time to leave? I was listening to a basement podcast with Tim Ross and Michael Bethany, where he expressed that sometimes you can be so caught up in the thing that God is telling you to do, the send me out, go, and you go and you do, and you think this is your final place. You're going to build all of these things. But God is like, if you trusted me to come here, will you trust me when I tell you it's time to leave? And coming back home was necessary for my health, my relationship with my husband, my relationship in my faith, being around family and giving my daughter the opportunity to grow up with her great grands and her grands, and being closer to my husband's family. It has been a breath of fresh air, and we are navigating this space of what it looks like here and outside of what we thought our life was supposed to look like in Texas. And me sitting with and having the hard conversations with myself about myself. Did I stop designing, which the Lord said was a vehicle, out of fear or doubt or self-sabotage? Can I go all in with my writing and my voice and helping people see themselves the way that God sees them? I can't get rid of the things that bring me to life, like encouraging people to be authentically who they are, not being this carbon copy of AI duplicates that is running rampant. Is AI bettering us? Can we use whatever is put before us as a tool and not a crutch? Looking at LinkedIn and seeing peers be successful and seeing where the Lord had me surrender my ambition and my desires to become who He needed me to become now, so that when it's time to open my mouth, when it's time to get back into the game, I don't do it from a place of competition or rushing. I do it from a place of surrender and stillness in the relationship that I have developed with the Lord, to be authentically who I am without compromise, so that when situations and brand deals and business ideas and opportunities come up, I am able to say yes because it aligns with who I am in the season that God is teaching me. Even if it's hard, even if it's not something I want to do, I can say yes and do it and show up from a place of identity that is rooted in security, joy, peace. Doesn't mean it's not going to come with endurance or difficult moments. It's going to come with its challenges, but we can show up in that place of rest. I'm also realizing on this journey, now that we have birthed a firstborn of our own, her being a girl, me being a girl and the firstborn on my side, my husband also being the firstborn on his side, that no wonder we birthed such a strong-willed, beautiful bundle of everything God could have put inside of her, because of who me and my husband are individually, that our love built this collective, this explosion of a moment that came in the form of our baby girl. It has been a beautiful experience to do it alongside my husband. And despite the challenges we may have faced with our strong-willedness, stubbornness, our firstborn syndrome, me and my husband are more alike than we are different. And we are in one accord when it comes to raising our daughter and the children that the Lord will bless us with in the future. We don't undermine each other. What is also humbling and something I had to learn early on in postpartum is that the blurredness, the sleepless nights, the hormones, the postpartum rage, depression, anxiety often clouded what my husband was doing and how he was showing up for me. And when I was able to step back to see how he was doing everything he could do, in addition to working full time to provide for us, being a stay-at-home mom and being in a season where God has humbly shut down my ability to generate income because we have to build a foundation. The Lord is teaching my husband how to be a provider, teaching me how to follow his leading and use my voice in leadership aspect because we're helpmates. We are equal. There's no hierarchy system. It has made our marriage so much more of a joy, and I have learned when to yield and when to let him have his way in what he feels is best and trusting the God in him. This is why I say she's back, because I am now able to see how this intentional pause, how motherhood was necessary, because I remember a prophetic word that the Lord gave me when I was going through a breakup in a previous relationship from the individual that I thought was going to be who God had for me, which wasn't. We praise God for that. God told me that as soon as I got married would be as quick as I got pregnant. And that is exactly the case. From the moment we decided we would get pregnant, we got pregnant on the first try. Motherhood had to happen because children are important to what it is that we are building. And if we don't get the foundation right, if there isn't this intentional pause, if I don't know how to be still even when God feels distant, how can I build or show up from this place? These last 2 years, my entire time in Texas was really a season of application where I went through this awareness phase of being aware of who God is and who he's calling me to be, and deep diving in my word and going to the conferences and listening to sermons and being planted in a healthy church. God had to send me into a space of application. You walk this out, coming back into a space of accountability. Now you know who God is, you know who you are, you know how to apply it. Can you be accountable to not reverse back into the old patterns? Can you be accountable to build from this place of what you have applied? Be accountable to other sisters in the faith to help pull each other along in the direction in which the Lord is calling you. This is where I am leading into abiding, bringing all the components together to rest in the fact that God is in control. And then possibly the cycle repeats in each sphere of influence that we're called into at each stage of maturity. I was reading a post the other day on Substack where an individual was upset that Moses didn't make it into the promised land. And one thing that I've learned is that Moses knew God in ways many of us will never know. And immaturity can cost you everything, which is why this season of silence had to happen, this pullback had to happen. Being fully immersed in motherhood had to happen because I do not want immaturity to cost me what it is God has for me. We rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, endurance produces character, and character produces hope, and hope does not put us to shame because God's love has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us. That's really the motto for this season. We can rejoice in our sufferings, our struggles, our frustration, our feelings, marriage, wherever God has us, the waiting, the desire to be married, the desire to be a parent. Naming that disappointment, acknowledging failed ideas and moments and things that you have tried to launch before, because all of that is included. But understand your identity birthed out of brokenness speaks to the testimony God is writing to set you free. Change is inevitable. When you find yourself back at the bottom of the mountain, don't be afraid to climb up it again, taking everything you've learned in the last season to venture further than no eyes have seen or ears have heard who you will become. And the only reason you will have to look back is to see how far you've come. keep going. Whatever you do, just keep going. We're still here. We're still showing up. Sometimes we have to take a pause. Sometimes we have to take a honest inventory and go back to the basics. This isn't about a pivot. This isn't about a rebrand. This is about a continuation. Build on every aspect of yourself that you have discovered, even in moments of silence, even in moments of hardship. Build on those pieces. It is part of who you are becoming and gives context to the next step you are supposed to take. You gotta keep walking, keep standing, keep going, okay? You have to. And I want you to join me here as I show up in this place as a first-time mom, as a retired graphic designer who may be pivoting to design teaching, who may be coming back into the branding space, who is currently in the legal field in this season. We're figuring this out together, and I want you to be a part of the process with me. May we always be lifelong students. May we never be so cocky and confident that we are the expert. Can we teach from what we have learned? Yes, but we should never lose our curiosity. And that's how I lost my creative edge. The exhaustion from iron loss, becoming a mother, getting married, the expectations that have been unmet have whooped my butt. But this is about the faith and the discipline to keep going and finding our creative edge, especially for those who keep starting and stopping, who are discouraged because parts of themselves no longer bring them joy. We're going to figure this out together. We're going to keep showing up regardless. So this is day one of me showing up by getting back here on YouTube, getting back with writing. I can't even be mad at myself because I have posted so inconsistently, even on Substack. What would happen if I commit to publishing once a week for a year? It only takes a year, which these are ideas that I've had before, initiatives that I've dropped that are now coming back because the framework was always there. The maturity just wasn't. Now it's time to execute and be accountable in our execution. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button because I'm going to be back next week, even if that means I have to just record imperfectly as my daughter naps. We're going to show up. So we can't let excuses be the reason we aren't where we think we should be when we never tried in the first place. Okay? Bye.